Hello friends, and welcome back to r/Entitled Parents. We've got 3 stories today. In the first one, a cheap boss tricks his employees into paying for food for his family. In the second one, some overprotective parents have an undercover cop follow their kid around. And the last one is about an entitled mom treating the dad like total garbage, and the dad filing for zero contact with the mom and the kid. And if you enjoy these videos, consider subscribing for more daily Reddit stories. This one's titled, "My Entitled Boss Loves Giving Food We Pay For to His Family." This one actually happened in December. For Christmas, at the company I was doing my internship, we decided to do a small dinner at our office, and we hired a restaurant to bring us food. Basically, we each had to pay for our own meal, plus an extra for the delivery service. It was a fine restaurant, so the cost was more or less $55 per person, depending on what they ordered. Because HR equals party planning committee, I was in charge of taking the orders of all the employees, plus the money and doing the order, for 38 people. When it was my boss's turn, the man told me some very important members of an allied company were close by, and he had invited them. As guests, it was obvious we couldn't charge them, so he proposed the idea of collecting a little extra fee to pay for their meals, and then told me what they had ordered. Well, whatever, it's just $4, so not a big deal, right? I did another round of picking our new extra fee and explaining the reason. While everyone was kind of pissed, most of them just gave the money without saying much. Except for one secretary who rolled her eyes while giving me the money and said something along the lines of, "Sure, important businessman," in the most sarcastic voice you can imagine. Dinner comes and everyone is already sitting at the impromptu banquet hall we created, except for our 3 mystery guests. Midway through the event, our boss's wife casually appears, which is not weird per se, as she comes a lot to the office when she's nearby, but it's 8 p.m. and there's no logical reason as to why she would be in the neighborhood at that hour. My boss calls my coworker, who was the one in charge of distributing the food, and I can see how he takes out 3 extra meals, gives them to our boss, who then gives them to his wife. They literally did this in front of everyone, no hiding at all. The wife then happily said goodbye to everyone, food in hand, and left the building. I'm kind of flabbergasted, but was able to ask my coworker what happened with our guests, and why was boss's wife taking the food with her. He explained that our boss told him the men had canceled and that his wife had to work late, meaning she hadn't prepared food for herself or their 2 teenage kids. Not wanting the food to go to the trash, he decided to give her the plates. The plates we paid for, without even asking us. My coworker just shrugged and said, "He's the boss." The secretary I mentioned before was close by and saw my face, boiling with anger, and laughed. She then told me the man pulled something like this every time there was a party, dinner, reunion, etc. It was not the first time my coworkers had paid for his family's dinner, and it probably won't be the last, according to her. They had just accepted it, and because he always made a credible excuse, it was hard to evade the thing or expose it. And there was that. No shouting, no crying, no legendary confrontation, just me sulking in the corner about my boss being a cheap dick. What a douche. He wants to feed his family that nice expensive meal but can't even be bothered to pay for it himself, and would rather make his employees pay for it that probably make way less than he does. This one's called, "Entitled Parents Have Undercover Police Follow Their Child." I thought I'd share my most interesting run-in with some entitled parents from when I was a kid. So the entitled parents in this story are my best friend's parents, who we'll call T. T's parents include an overprotective stay-at-home mom and an ex-cop dad. We were around 12 or 13 at the time, and we were going out to a restaurant with a pretty random group of people from our school. I didn't really know most of these people, but I went because T was going. After we had eaten, someone that was there said to go somewhere else to hang out. We ended up at this shisha bar, and obviously being a kid, I got bored and called my mom to come pick me up. Some of the others stayed and ordered shisha, but that wasn't any of my business. Around half an hour or so later, I was in my room when my mom comes upstairs to berate me because I was apparently smoking at that bar. Very confused at first, but I explained that I wasn't smoking and she calmed down. My mom then began to explain how entitled mom called her up and had a fit on the phone because someone saw all of us there smoking shisha. When my mom asked who that someone was, she said it's a couple of entitled dad's old buddies that he put up to make sure T and I are okay. Entitled mom told her their names but neglected to mention they were cops and were probably out of uniform since I don't remember anyone there standing out. Side note, my dad worked at the airport at the time, which means he worked late nights and also knew a lot of the police where we're from. When he came home later that night and my mom filled him in, they were able to put the pieces together and figured out that entitled parents had police following me without any consent. Maybe they thought my parents would be okay with it because blind trust in our police or something. My mom called entitled mom the next day, and regardless of how furious she was, she calmly explained that they are not comfortable with police following their child. Entitled Mom surprisingly took it well and apologized. When I talked to T about this at school, he was really embarrassed and apologized for his parents as well. But apparently the entitled parents had called every parent they knew, even going as far as telling some parents that their children are bad influences to their little angel T. He got bullied for this at school. Some people even blacklisted T, saying he was never invited anywhere again, but they got over that soon enough. Anyway, I had fallen out with T through the years. I called him up 2 or 3 years ago when his father passed away and we went out to grab a coffee. He handed me a tobacco pouch and asked me to roll him cigarettes and chain smoke the majority of the tobacco while we were there. Ironic, but there's probably a moral in there somewhere, like trust your kids or something like that. Yeah, that's some seriously overly protective, overly paranoid parents. I tend to believe that the more overprotective a parent is, the more their kid's actually going to end up misbehaving. Cause I really just feel like if you're gonna try to control and watch your kid's every move, then that's just gonna cause them to act out more whenever they have the chance. But if you set some healthy boundaries for your kids and at least give them some freedom to make their own mistakes, then that'll probably work out better for everyone. But what do I know? It's like this comment down here says, effing just don't stalk your children. Parents, seriously set healthy boundaries. Strict, mentally unhealthy, and entitled parents don't make mentally healthy kids. And that's kind of a good point too. This type of parenting is really an indication of the parents being mentally unhealthy themselves. And they likely don't even realize that they're setting their kids on a path to become the same terrible adults that they are. Anyway, I'm not trying to lecture anyone. I'm more so just thinking out loud. There's a lot of you that probably know way better than I do on this sort of thing. This one's called, My Friend Just Filed for Zero Contact with His Entitled Mom Ex-Wife and Entitled Kid of a Son. Before you pass judgment on my friend, who I'm calling Ben, he has tried everything to be a good dad. He tried to co-parent since his son was 4, and all it got him was pain and suffering at Entitled Mom's hands. She basically chased away Ben's social life and his chances of having a relationship with anyone, with Entitled Kid or Mom putting up a fight. Ben agreed to counseling even when his insurance couldn't cover it, and he owes my husband and I $200 for a session. He has a job and pays child support and watches Entitled Kid almost every day off. What sucks is Entitled Mom has a social life and friends and talks crap about Ben. I found a Facebook post complaining about how Ben cosplays and spends money meant for her on his hobbies. Actually, Ben supplements income by building props and costumes for others. Most of the pictures she had was from when Ben was in college. This guy is also working 2 jobs on top of it. Entitled Mom also attacks Ben's friends, including myself and my husband. She blames us for her souring marriage and also Ben's hobbies, which literally he never shared with her because of this. She was the one cheating, really. Ben was not amused by that news. So when the pandemic happened, Ben decided he had to put his foot down after what happened in 2019 at the convention. Basically, he was with myself, my friends, and well, his new girlfriend when Entitled Mom decides to dump Entitled Kid on him. Just imagine that kind of scene where she just shows up and hands off Entitled Kid, and then tells him to go home or she's calling CPS on every parent at the convention. She basically said she didn't want her son catching the nerd. Entitled Kid is very much a male version of his mom, and a bully, which Ben has tried to curb with grounding, psychology, and therapy, none of which ever worked. It got so bad that I nicknamed the kid the Rodent, something this kid wears like a badge of honor. We have actually wanted to spank this kid, but didn't want to face child abuse charges, so we usually try to help Ben. All 6 of us were at a loss of what to do. Luckily, Ben's mom was 30 minutes away and came to grab Entitled Kid before he could do much damage. This kid already called me fat, called a little girl dressed like Sailor Chibi Moon a slut. She was 8, and was already told by con security to stop being a disruption. At the end of this, I have never heard Ben raise his voice, and what came out was something no kid needs to hear. He said, "I hope I never see you or your mother again." It also echoed in the parking lot. Ben just decided to tell his son exactly what I never thought would be said to him. He said, "I am filing for no contact. I hope your mother is happy. She and you ruined my life." Since September 2020, Ben has not changed his mind and signed full custody over to Entitled Mom, who just about cried, which means she lost a free babysitter. She still gets child support, which Ben agreed to pay, but he doesn't want Entitled Mom or kid in his life. My husband and I were kind of worried because Entitled Mom posted she lost her job and now had to move in with her parents, who are mad at her for how she treated Ben. Update, so my friend said yes, this did happen, and he's still upset over the decision, but opted to okay the no contact order on his wife. Entitled Kid was not included, and he and him did talk since he is now 12, and the kid realized how badly this behavior cost him. Entitled Kid started to go to a new therapist and has made a decision to stay fully with Ben instead of his mom. While this is an improvement, Entitled Kid is still having outbursts of anger and is still apologizing for thinking about what happened in 2019. While we did tell the kid that we may have gotten a bit mad at him for it, we have always cared enough to come to bat for him. I am actually happy the kid understands what he did, even if it took him a year to have his grandparents explain what was going on. He may be 12 now, but his mom actually did some damage to him, so we're attempting to repair it. And that's all for today, everyone. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, consider dropping a like and subscribe if you want to see more. Peace and love to you all, and I'll see you next time.